The time right now, 4:10 p.m. Good afternoon, and thank you for staying tuned to 92.3 Nigeria Info, your talk news sports radio station. It is time for us to push the conversation a little further. I've got a lawyer via the phone, and we will be talking. But first, let me introduce myself. I am Kalada Korobata, but it's always a pleasure having conversations with you. Today, we're going to be looking at some legal issues, and yet again, educating ourselves and what should be, and also ensuring that we hold government accountable. Remember, government is not just the executive arm, it's not just the federal government, also, the three ties of government and the three arms of government. So we will be looking at allow me to describe it that way, on ending crisis at the State House of Assembly, which started all the way back last year, almost a year, if not a year now, when it started, all the, back and forth, all the imbroglio, it started last year from an impeachment process, the explosion, or is it the detonation of a dynamite or an explosive device at the Alo chamber, the talk about defection, the various court judgments. We've come a long way, I should say. Once again, welcome. But why am I having this conversation? Why am I looking at the State House of Assembly today? And I'm going to be doing it extensively, by the way, talking to lawyers and getting their thoughts on all of these issues. Now, the news did break not too long ago that the Amaehule-led Assembly State, remember, we've got a faction, just in case you do not know, the Amaehule-led Assembly has now declared pro-Fubara lawmaker seats vacant. Now, according to an article, the Rivers State House of Assembly, led by Amaehule, has declared the seats of Edison Eye, the Chief of Staff to Governor Siminalayi Fubara, and three other pro-Fubara lawmakers vacant following their absence from sittings for 152 days. Now, making this known during plenary today, Speaker Amaehule pointed out that Eye did not properly write to inform the House of his new office, and as such, his seat has been declared vacant. Now, regarding Victor Okojumbo and the two others, the House held three separate votes to declare their seats vacant for absenteeism, from sitting for 152 days consecutively without notification or permission, in violation of the 1999 Constitution. Now, the Assembly further agreed to write to INEC to conduct elections to replace the now vacancies within 90 days to provide representation for their people. Also, the House agreed to give Governor Fubara another opportunity to present the 2024 appropriations bill following the nullification by the 100 billion bill he had presented to a parallel House led by Edison Eye. And you must have heard his argument on the show. He won the show last week as well, but you must have heard his argument on several occasions on the show. To have you, Godspower, and it's my pleasure.
It's my pleasure, Mr. Kalada. It's my pleasure always being here. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, so let's go into the nitty-gritty. Let's start with a question that has to do with the point of law. Can the House, any legislative house as a matter of fact, be it the National Assembly, the upper or lower chamber, or chambers now, the State House of Assembly, or even at the local government level, can a house suspend or even expel a member? And if yes, how?
Okay, Mr. Kalada, quickly, when we talk about some of these issues, we have to refer back to the Constitution, which is the ground norm of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. If you say that Section 09, let us see what upper S is. If we can't just call meetings of the House Assembly for a period of in the aggregate more than 1/3 of the total days during which House meets in a year. So the answer to your question is right, yes, and affirmative, that the House Assembly can declare the seat of a member absent. So that's vacant.
Okay, so can you read that Constitution again for just for clarity?
Section 109, so 1F, a member of the House Assembly shall sit in the House if without just cause he is absent from meetings of the House of Assembly for a period amounting in the aggregate to more than 1/3 of the total number of days during which the House meets in any one year.
Okay.
So, like I said before, that answer is in the affirmative, that the House of Assembly can declare the seat of a member vacant.
But can you, in this case, looking at the, sometimes, we argue that there are certain exceptions. I don't know if there are exceptions in this case, because there was a suspension, indefinite suspension, if I am correct and my memory serves me well. And the lawmakers have not been called back to the House. And that's why I first asked if it's possible to suspend another legislator, right? So if there is a suspension and they have not been called, assuming they are, there's still the argument as to whether they are the legal House of Assembly. Now, can they actually still declare the seats vacant, given that there was first a suspension?
Well, Mr. Kala, there's so much information in the public, but I think that most persons would want to claim ignorant of that. I am aware, and that's also in public domain, that sometime on the 20th of December 2023, that the House sat, where the House also lifted the suspension of members and also lifted that impeachment notice served on the governor. So the members were actually recalled. And from that time till now that their seats were declared vacant, they have not been attending sittings.
So you're now saying that going by the Court of Appeal judgment, I'm trying to ask a question, going by the Court of Appeal judgment and the declaration by the Martin Amaehule-led Assembly that INEC would go ahead to conduct elections. You're saying, and your answer should be in the affirmative, if I understand you correctly.
Yes, in the affirmative. Their seats have been declared. Their seats have been declared vacant. The only remedy would, of course, if they now go to court and if they have grounds to challenge the action of the Rivers State House of Assembly. But also do not forget that some of these states have laid down procedures. So you have to answer the question whether it was actually Speaker, which is in this case Right Honorable Martin Amaehule, that declared their seat vacant. If you have Section 109, sub 1F, and you now have subsection 2, which is the Speaker declaring the seat vacant, then you would notice that the legal approach to declaration of the seat of a member being vacant has been followed.
So can the, once again, assuming that they are the legal assembly, because the matter is in court, and I'm not trying to preempt the court now, assuming they are, can we then argue in court on behalf of the Victor Okojumbo, faction that, you see, the State House of Assembly has been involved in several court cases and counter court cases, and so maybe we did not know if we were relating with the right assembly. Can that argument be made?
That argument cannot be made because ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Okay.
Ignorance of the law is no excuse, and the judgment of Omotosho, Honorable Justice Omotosho, was given far back in January. So but the judgment is still assembly. Sorry. Preside.
Sorry.
Over. Sorry. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but sorry, I need to interrupt now. But that judgment you've just referred to is being challenged at the Supreme Court. So can that be an excuse to say, okay, court, we were challenging this matter at the Supreme Court and we did not want to preempt it. And so for that reason, we can't just accept our seats being declared vacant?
Well, he who comes to equity must come with clean hands.
Okay.
If the court has given a judgment, it is incumbent on citizens, including government, to obey the judgment of courts. While you have your right of appeal, the law does not empower you to disobey judgments of courts.
So
that would be setting up tyranny. Okay. And no court would entertain that as a ground, to want to now look even into the declaration of vacancy of this seat of members of the House of Assembly.
Now, if for any reason any of the court cases on defection goes in favor of the executive arm of government or against Martin Amaehule-led faction of the Assembly, all of this will be null and void. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You said if.
If, yeah, of course, we've been doing probabilities.
Before you even get to the if, what is the status at the moment? You can actually challenge, like I always use you as an example, you can actually challenge that somebody's name is not ABC. But until the court makes a declaration to that effect, Remember, it's a declaration that the court will make. Until the court makes a declaration to that effect, you must continue to abide by the judgment of the court. What has the court said? So all of this, one question we should ask ourselves is, who has the power to declare the seat of a member of the House of Assembly vacant? Remember, I had said that ignorance of law is no excuse.
Okay.
It is the speaker. Did any speaker declare the seat of the 27 members of the River State House of Assembly vacant? No. So what are you supposed to do as a law-abiding citizens? Even if you're challenging, if you want to challenge their defection or not, does not make you now sit and say you are now the speaker, because that itself offends the provisions of the Constitution, which gives the procedure as to how the speaker, deputy speaker, and other principal officers will emerge.
Okay, so sorry, I'm not a lawyer, Barrister Egbule, so it's a little bit confusing, right? So let's take it slow and let's slow the pace here. So you've said that nobody declared the 27 seats vacant. But if you go through archives of news articles, you would see that Edison first had declared their seats vacant. And then, Victor Okojumbo continued from where Edison stopped, right? And, the remaining five, was it four, right? Four at the time, decided to, say Edison is speaker. And after Edison left, they came together again and said Victor Okojumbo is speaker. So can they argue these things in court and say, we have declared these people's seats vacant? And yes, the Supreme Court has ruled, or whatever court has ruled in their favor, assuming yet again. Can we then argue that, see, we were in court, we were fighting for the, vacating of their seats, but it didn't happen? Secondly, if it doesn't go in the favor of Martin Amaehule, does this nullify what they are doing? That's the question I'm asking.
Now, let me take your statement. Let me answer your question one step at a time.
Okay.
Of all the matters challenging the authenticity of the speakership of the River State House of Assembly, how many has the court given judgment on? Do not forget, you have the judgment of Honorable Justice Bassam, which said, I don't have jurisdiction, but in the event that I have jurisdiction, you have not been able to prove that there was defection. That's the judgment of Honorable Justice Bassam. You have the judgment of Honorable Justice J.K. Omotosho. J.K. Omotosho said, please represent this budget before Right Honorable Martins Amaehule, who is the Speaker of the River State House of Assembly. You have not said that they are not members of the House of Assembly. You didn't say before Omotosho that they are not members of the River State House of Assembly. And so you can't use your appeal arising from the judgment of Honorable Justice Omotosho as a shield to say you will not obey the judgment of Honorable Justice Omotosho because you think they have defected. Those are not the issues canvassed. So whichever way you look at it, one party seems to be in constant flagrant breach of the orders of the courts, being misguided and deliberately misconceiving the facts and issues in contention in each of these cases. That's the situation you have in River State. So whichever way you look at it, none of these members whose seats have now been declared vacant can say, this is the court case that I filed challenging the authenticity of the speakership of the River State House of Assembly. Why is that case?
But there was...
So what we have...
There was the ex parte order at some point given to Edison that allowed him,
which has been, and all of these were deliberated even in the judgment of Honorable Justice Omotosho. But do not also forget that matter has already been struck out. So that matter can't be a foundation for anything any other person wants to build on.
Interesting.
That matter at the moment can't be a foundation. In fact, I'm sure they can't even convert that kind of argument in court.
Okay, we do have
a building has been destroyed. A foundation has been destroyed. You say you want to lay a building on it. It's not possible.
We do have a commercial. When we do come back, I would come back to you with more questions. Do stay tuned. 27 minutes gone past 4, and it's a pleasure having you on the other side of the radio. If you're just joining, better late than never. You're listening to Hard Facts in 92.3 Nigerian Info. I'm Kalada Kurubatubo. We're live on Facebook, live on YouTube, active on X, Nigerian Info PH, and you can follow me on my own accounts. D Kalada, Thekalada. What are we looking at? We're looking at the news report that broke some 1-2 hours ago that the Amaehule-led assembly, that faction, has declared the seats of the pro-Fubara lawmakers, the other faction, vacant. And we're looking at it from the point of law. And my guest, who's a lawyer, Godspower, Egbule, has argued that what Martin Amaehule and others have done is in line with the law. All right. So welcome back, Barrister Godspower Egbule. It's good to have you.
Thank you, Mr. Kalada. Always my pleasure. All
right. So before the break, you were trying to answer two questions that I threw at you. One had to do with if the the people who have not been declared vacant can argue in court if the judgment swings in favor of Martin Amaehule and others. And the question was if they can argue that we were in court, we were arguing about the legitimacy of who the speaker, who are real members of the House of Assembly. And then the second question was, and still remains, if it doesn't swing in favor of Martin and others, then, is it null and void? Or can we say that given the fact that the appeal court had given some level of legitimacy to the Martin Amaehule-led assembly, that whatever they did at the time was lawful? Can we argue that?
Okay, Mr. Kalada, let me continue my stream of thoughts on this question.
Okay.
I have said at the moment, none of those members of the Rivers State House of Assembly whose seats were declared vacant can actually lay claim that they were actually in court, because obviously the judgment of Honorable Justice Omotosho, there was no argument as to whether their seats have been declared vacant. The judgment of Honorable Justice Bassam declined jurisdiction, but proceeded to say, in the event that I have jurisdiction, you have not been able to prove to me that they defected. The other judgment is that of Honorable Justice Danagogo, and that of Danagogo has been struck out. So it is like a building without foundation, and you can't lay anything on it. So at the moment, the argument as to whether they are contesting the authenticity of the Rivers State House of Assembly will not favor them. But the next question is, what if the courts, in any of these cases now say their seats, that is the seat of the 27 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly, have been declared vacant? That is if. That would be the operation of the law. Like I always say, once the court gives judgment, the verdict of the court is lawful and must be obeyed by every citizen, private and even government and institutions. But I am saying the other argument doesn't favor the members whose seats have been declared vacant today. Because today, there is no court judgment saying the Right Honorable Martin Amaehule is not the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly. He is.
Okay, so now that they've written to INEC, just run us through the process, assuming once again that, your arguments are assuming your arguments are, the right arguments. What is the process? How long will it take INEC to respond to the letter written by the Martin Amaehule-led assembly?
I am sure that is also contained in the letter written to them. Usually, INEC would ask for a reasonable time so that they can also prepare in terms of logistics, manpower, and the rest to be able to conduct that election.
So how long have we been looking at? Because I can't remember vividly, but I do think there is a time frame for the by-elections to happen. So what does the law say? Is the law silent on the time frame?
They would have 90 days to conduct the election to fill the vacancy in the seats of members of the Rivers State House of Assembly.
So if your arguments are correct, in the next 90 days, we should be expecting by-elections. That is, if your arguments are correct. I mean, is INEC not going to say, like they did the last time, that matters are in court, and so they would wait until those matters are dealt with before they can INEC argue in that line, in that way?
INEC will not argue in that light, because when the seats of the 27 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly were purportedly declared vacant. Remember, they approached the courts to restrain INEC to restrain INEC from conducting the election.
Okay.
And court has given judgment. In this instance now, except these members whose seats have been declared vacant, now decide to approach the court. Okay. INEC would have the opportunity and the latitude to conduct the election. They have a right to contest the declaration of their seats being vacant in court. They sure have that right. But the thing is, they are actually in a very precarious situation. You know, it's between the devil and the deep blue sea. When you go to court, are you going to say you are under suspension and so your seat ought not to have been declared vacant? Or are you going to say that you're a member of the Rivers State House of Assembly, so why are you not attending sitting?
Could they also argue that could they argue that the matter is in court and the 27 are not lawmakers? Could they argue
which of the matters?
Anyway,
which of the matters?
Okay, let's go to
remember the wordings of the Court of Appeal lambasting the executive governor with respect to his refusal to represent the budget before Right Honorable Martin Amaehule. And it may be too difficult, but I can hazard that such lambasting can also go to these other members who left their seats, and declared themselves as speaker and members of a factional House of Assembly, which is not the contemplation of a constitution. If you do not like the speaker, Right Honorable Martin Amaehule, get your majority, get the required number to remove him as speaker. But the constitution does not allow you, which is what I have said, that you can't go to equity with dirty hands. He who comes to equity must come with clean hands. So you're already in breach of the constitution. So what are the grounds for you to now challenge what has happened today? Obviously, I don't seem to see it, but we will leave them with their right, to ventilate their grievance in court.
Okay. All right. So let's get the thoughts of our listeners and let's interact and have a conversation. So please just stay on the line because I would like your professional reaction to some of the contributions that will be coming on the show. I'm going to the phone lines now. The numbers are 0817 923 0002, 0817 923 0003, 0817 923 0007. That WhatsApp number for WhatsApp messages 0809 0306 Once again, 0809 0306 Okay. Let's see. While I'm waiting for the calls to come through, remember we have a live stream on Facebook. You could go the comment section or section, I beg your pardon, and drop your comments therein on YouTube as well, on X as well. There is a post on X. Drop your comments therein. Now let's look at this one. This one says your guest is just saying the way he feels, but when time reaches, we're going to know who's who. Jaja Maxwell with that one. This one says, Edison Eye and the then Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly relied on Nigerian law on defection to declare vacant the seats of Martin Amaehule and co. The same barrister argued that Eye was wrong in his actions. Yeah, he is, to support the action of Martin Amaehule. Martin Amaehule and co are former assembly members. They have no right to declare vacant seats of Oko Jumbo and others. All right. This one says the Martin-led assembly can declare a seat vacant because you suspended them without due process and you didn't recall them. The next thing you did was to declare seats vacant. The lawyers are the greatest problems of Nigeria, Ezekiel Isaiah. Just a quick question to you, Barrister Egbule. Can you suspend? I think there's a ruling on that. I can't remember vividly. But can a fellow member suspend another member of the House? Even the Speaker. Can the Speaker suspend?
Of course, yes.
Is that not, denying the people he represents proper representation at that House? Remember, these are representatives of the people.
Plausible argument, but you see, there's also the code of conduct for members of the House of Assembly, and they also have their law which governs their code of conduct. And so when you override that code of conduct, the House of Assembly has a right to suspend you for a specific number of time. So they can give you a suspension for 1 week, for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, for 1 month. They can give you such suspension. So they have the right to suspend any member of the House of Assembly.
Okay. All right. Let's see more messages. This one says, greetings, KDB, Martin and his colleagues. I had to edit that because we try to stay constructive here on the show. It says, should be busy creating content. River State has moved. Please ask the guests if they are still in operation. What is holding them back from impeaching the governor of River State, since, according to them, he has been acting and contravening the standard procedures of the office? If they exist, what is holding them back? And this one says, good afternoon, Mr. K. According to your guest, he who seeks for justice must go with clean hands. And I ask, is it being real? You should be careful with, okay, all right. I say you should be careful what it says in public. Children are listening, Mr. Bright from Port Harcourt. This one says, greetings, Canada. With all due respect, your guest is economical with the truth. However, so many cases are in courts. We wait maybe next 3 years when Supreme Court will decide the entire matters. Nicholas Erasmus. But I'm going to the phone lines now. 92.3 Nigeria Info. What's your name? Where are you calling in from?
My name is Bright Bush. I'm calling from Arumadumaya.
All right, Bright, welcome.
I believe in all your guests have said.
Okay.
The reason is that from the beginning, there was no judgment that was in favor of River State government or Oko Jumbo and the other three of their friends. Again, after the peace accord in Abuja, then Edison was claiming as the Speaker of River State House of Assembly. But after the peace accord, he later resigned as a House of Assembly member, which he wrote to INEC, and the governor now made him chief of staff. How come when did the Oko Jumbo come up again? Is it that when he wake up in the morning, he wears clothes and he declares himself Speaker of the House? When we have about 27 lawmakers, we are talking about majority, 3 or 4 against 27. In which way will he work as? So they should stop all these things and allow Martin Amaehule, which is the Speaker of River State, to do his work, function as the River State Speaker. Please.
All right.
Thank you, lawyer.
All right. Thank you very much. I've got David from Ikoyi, Lagos. Really, I'm wondering. David, welcome on the show.
Yes. Good afternoon, Kalada.
Yeah, good afternoon, David. Welcome. Let's get your thoughts, please.
Yes. Okay, so listen to your guest and my learned friend there, and why? Yes, it's in women constitutional law. The position of the law is clear as to instances where the seat of a member of a House of Assembly can be declared vacant. But we must place the cat. We cannot place the cat before the horse.
Okay.
There are existing court matters which have to do with validity of membership of these 27 persons in the House. And then the issue of speakership. Now, what most people usually confuse themselves with promotorship judgment and the Joseph Bassey judgment is that in these two matters, the issue as to eligibility of membership of Martin Amaehule and his speakership was not in contention.
Okay.
What was in contention is initially it was Martin Amaehule that took governor and the Attorney General to court with his own members, including INEC in that suit.
Okay.
So his speech as a speaker was not in contention. No federal high court judgment of which they can rely on stated that he is the speaker or he is the valid speaker of the House of Assembly as at today. Now, when you read the judgments are based on claims by the claimant before the court. And that is what we call enrollment order that comes up after the judgment. You don't just read the judgment and then, just as he's saying, there is an auditor in the judgment of Justice Bassey who said, I don't have jurisdiction, assuming I have jurisdiction. That is an arbiter, not a ratio decidendi. So
are you a lawyer? You sound and talk like one. Are you sorry to cut you short? Are you a lawyer?
Yes, I'm Barrister David.
Okay, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
So you don't read a judgment in vacuum. You don't read a judgment like a textbook. In judgment, the court may give reasons, but where it comes to its conclusion as to what it is are the findings of the court, it's in the enrollment order.
All right.
The question you should, internet friends, and every other person should ask themselves, what is the enrollment order of Justice Motosho's judgment saying? Did it say Martin Amaehule is the speaker? What is the enrollment order of Justice Bassem saying? It did say Martin Amaehule and the 27 other members are still members of the House of Assembly and he is the speaker.
All right.
Remember, the issue of the contestation of his speakership and membership, including that of the 27 members, we are not in contention in either Martin Omotosho's judgment or in Justice Bassem's judgment.
All right. Thank you.
Until we resolve that, Martin Amaehule and the 27 others cannot preside over a sitting and then vacate or give to arise the provision of Section 109, Sub 1 F and G of the Constitution.
All right. Thank you very much, David. I've got to go, but thank you very much. Yeah. All right. I've got Godspower from Eche. Godspower, welcome. What is on your mind? I'd like to hear from you.
Yes, I will start with questions. The 27 lawmakers have been sitting for a long time now. Those number of days that they declared these people absent. I want the lawyer, my brother, Barrister Egbule, and I want to answer that question. One. And have they the capacity and authenticity to declare their seat vacant and suspend them?
All right.
Second one. It's true. Have the law yesterday at the court, did they decide that they are still legitimate?
You're asking the same questions, Godspower. I think it's similar.
People said the ruling was on representation of the budget.
Okay, all right, Godspower, you're asking the same questions.
I'm confused now.
All right, the lawyer will get to you. The lawyer will get to you. Just keep listening. I've got Mufasa from D-Line. Mufasa, welcome. What is on your mind? I'd like to hear.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kalada. You see, I am so satisfied and happy that somebody actually called from Lagos, who is a lawyer and who does not have any interest in the matter. You know, initially, when you introduce your guest, I already know where the arguments will tilt towards, but then again, everybody is entitled to their opinion. He made reference to Justice Bassam. Bassam, did he make any judgment pronouncement in terms of as to regard the case on that matter of defection? Now, I'm so happy that the lawyer that called you mentioned Peter Dictu. I'm not a lawyer, but at least we are all educated to a certain level. Bassam did not make any judgment. There was no judgment that, that reference whether Amaehule was a speaker or not. He only gave his opinion after session, so you cannot reference that and you begin to say that Bassam judgment, Omotosho's judgment, and all of that. We all know that pursuant to Section 109, subsection 1G, that Martin Amaehule and his group, they have no locus to even precise that, other than to able to start declaring the seat of lawmakers vacant. So for me, I know that people have liberty to state their opinion, but let us equally state some facts while we are giving our opinion on certain sensitive matters.
All right.
You cannot declare somebody vacant when you don't even have the power to do so.
All right.
So that is that about that. I'm happy that lawyer called from Lagos. I'm so satisfied with his position.
All right. Thank you, Mufasa. Thank you very much. Let's give other people the chance. I'm going to the WhatsApp portal now. I would have to go to my guest very shortly, but let's read some messages about WhatsApp and Facebook. This one says, "Good afternoon, Kalada." Okay, we're not talking about that one. This one says, "Ignorance of the law is not an excuse, but ignorance of the fact is an excuse." Odimegu Sonny Didia from Amaehule is saying and arguing. But this one says, "Which court in Ishokpo granted Edison Aye the right to be a speaker that he at the time declared the seats of the 27 lawmakers vacant? Has that order been vacated in the Ishokpo High Court?" I think I asked the question and he said that matter has been, is it struck out or is it withdrawn? But this one says, in addition to what your guest just eloquently stated, also remember that Justice Omotosho's judgment also recognized the clerk loyal to Martin Amaehule, Dr. Amadi, and because of this recognition, he wrote to INEC asking them not to recognize the letter sent to INEC declaring the seat of Amaehule and others vacant by Eye Edison. All right, that's from Ibiba. This one says, Mr. Onyeso from Port Harcourt, Martin Amaehule and co are no longer in existence. They should hold on until Supreme Court judgment. This one says, someone who has lost his sonship cannot come back to his previous father to declare his former brother as having a place in that house. Let the lawyers continue to deceive desperate clients and throw confusion into the political space here. This one says, inform your guest that Amaehule and co swore an affidavit at Omotosho's suit affirming their APC membership. These they won't deny and so have lost their house membership for long. Victor from Egbule. All right, let's come to you now. I've got so many messages. I can't read them all on Facebook as well. I've got so many messages. But let's come back to you, Vice Egbule. You must have heard some of the contributions on the show, majority of them not, aligning with your argument. But, let's start with what the lawyer from Lagos said. He said that none of the court judgments that you have made reference to actually dealt with the issue of defection. We've talked about that before. However, let's assume that argument is real and true. Once again, the question I ask, will that affect how a court will look at the matter if the Victor Okojumbo-led assembly takes the matter to court?
Okay, Mr. Kalada, quickly, before I answer that question, let me make some clarifications. Mr. Kalada, first of all, a judge cannot give a judgment that is in one part the lead judgment and in another part an obiter. Remember that before Honorable Justice Bassam, the issue of jurisdiction was raised. Bassam resolved that issue of jurisdiction and also proceeded to entertain the matter on the merits. Because when you fight matters there are different ways to file a matter.
Okay.
When you file a matter through originating summons, which is for the courts to interpret a document.
Okay.
If the issue of jurisdiction is raised, the court can entertain that issue of jurisdiction and the main matter together.
Based on the way the matter was petitioned, or is that what you're saying?
Beautiful.
Okay.
So when the court now resolves the issue of jurisdiction and says, I don't have jurisdiction because of the provisions of the Constitution, but in the event that I have jurisdiction, this is my judgment. How can someone say that is an obiter?
Okay, now let me ask a question. Let me ask a question. No.
Yes.
In what you've just described, are you now saying that because Justice Bassam actually said he did not have jurisdiction, are you then saying what he then interpreted is binding because he already said he did not have jurisdiction in the first place?
It's binding. That's why any party that lost before Honorable Justice Bassam will now need to appeal. We need to appeal that Bassam had jurisdiction, and we also need to appeal that the members actually defected. Okay. So if you say one is an obiter, how are you going to appeal against an obiter?
Interesting.
See, Mr. Kalada, let us leave all these emotional outbursts. You understand? Let's leave all these emotional outbursts. I am sure that consistently the court will be giving their judgments. So irrespective of any private or personal opinion that anybody wants to have, we will wait for the court to give their decision. And I have just told you here. And someone now said, my learned colleague said there was nothing about the speakership of the River State House of Assembly before Honorable Justice Omotosho. I have always said it, that if you have not read the judgment of Honorable Justice Omotosho, the worst thing you can do to yourself is to come to public and speak about it. Mr. Kalada, when you called me last week, I read one of the orders granted by Honorable Justice Omotosho. I will read it again here. See what it says. An order is hereby made restoring the status quo as at 29 November 2023, when the said suit was filed, irrespective of the merits of the suit, as may be ultimately decided, and in particular, setting aside the purported proceedings and deliberations in the name of the Rivers State House of Assembly, surreptitiously arranged and organized by the 11th defendant, including purported decision and all resolution passed therein, presentation of budget, and purported deliberation on and passing of the so-called budget appropriation bill, and setting aside the purported budget appropriation bill purportedly signed into law by the 11th defendant despite the pendency of this suit. So the court restored status quo to November 29th of 2023. Who did the court restore that status quo to? In whose favor was that status quo granted? Right Honorable Martin Amaehule.
Okay.
The court said Martin Amaehule, as at 29th of November, from 29th of November till the judgment was given till today, is the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly. How can someone now say the issue of the speakership of the Rivers State House of Assembly was not decided by Honorable Justice
Barrister Egbule, I understand the technicality you're arguing from. You know, lawyers, you like technicalities, right? However,
but I don't.
I'm going somewhere with my question because we're out of time. But quickly, so you can answer. Was there anywhere in that court process that defection was mentioned? Anywhere in that court process?
Exactly what I have said, that because nobody challenged the defection of the members of the 27 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly, you cannot use that as an excuse for you to declare yourself as Speaker. I said that earlier. You didn't challenge that you are not members of the Rivers State House of Assembly, and court delivered judgment. Instead of you to be attending sittings, you now went ahead to declare yourself as members of the Rivers State House of Assembly elsewhere. So the Constitution, which is always, I have said, that the Constitution did not contemplate a factional assembly. You know, when you were saying it said a factional assembly or a pro-governor assembly, that's not the contemplation of the Constitution. The Constitution does not contemplate that any other person will be governor. Outside of the governor, we have Governor Sim. That's not the contemplation of the Constitution. The Constitution did not contemplate that any other person will be Speaker outside of Right Honorable Martin Amaehule until you remove him. So if you did not, why were you not attending sittings?
I've got to go.
You have the opportunity.
My time is up. Thank you very much. Always a pleasure having you, Godspower Egbule, Esquire. But thank you very much once again. I've got to go.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
All right. You stay tuned. Conversations continue.
Nigeria Info. Right back after this.